The time is 8:10 and a BBC weather presenter says she was left feeling physically sick after she was harassed by a man who sent her over 100 messages, many of them sexually explicit.
Alexis Green said she was unable to sleep and had to take time off work after she was bombarded with messages, videos and photos on social media from Timothy O'Brien. The 55-year-old was jailed for 17 weeks and given a restraining order after he admitted harassment against Miss Green. Well, I sat down with her to talk about it and the impact it has had on her life and her health. Alexis, thanks so much for talking to us about this. I know this is not easy for you to talk about, but if you could just start right at the beginning when you realised there was a problem with this man.
Yeah, so it all started last year in November. I had a few messages from this guy and they were inappropriate, saying something like, "You're warming up my house tonight." So I thought, you know what, I'm just going to block you, which I did. And a month later, he set up a new profile on Facebook and decided to message me again. 2 to 3 messages a day. And these are videos that are like maybe between 7 to 9 minutes long. Selfie videos talking of his sexual desires, what he'd like to do to me, knowing that when he'd finished with me, my other half would be lying in bed knowing that he'd had his dirty way. So I showed it to my partner and he only watched a couple of minutes and was like, "You need to phone the police. This is outrageous. This guy can't get away with this." So I thought about it for 24 hours and then went to the police. They came round, but then I had to listen to that whole video because the police used my phone and used their body cameras to record everything. So I listened to the whole thing.
So did you have to sit in a room with him?
Yeah. I had to sit in a room with him in court. Obviously, the court case was horrendous for me. I sat there in the dock, shaking, reading my statement, which was about 5 paragraphs long because I had a lot to say about the situation. And I was quite teary reading it as well. Yes, it's really, really hard doing those things, but at the end of it, I did have a result. Being on the television, I was the voice of the people out there who don't have a voice and are going through exactly the same thing. And I want to give them confidence in knowing that going forward, you can get a result and get a sentencing and also get a restraining order, which I have.
And how much do you feel protected by that now?
I don't feel totally protected by it. It's a restraining order. You can't stop somebody driving to my house or my workplace or stop them messaging me. He will go back to prison if he does.
It's made you afraid, hasn't it?
It has, yes. It has made me afraid. I'm scared to do certain things. I won't go for a run on my own anymore. I take the dog. The poor dog has to go so many miles with me and he's tired every day. But no, I feel that there is that protection in place, but it's not going to help me. It's not going to help my personal feelings, my anxiety. I'll always have that with me.
You have all of this going on away from work, and yet your job requires you to be really together and calm. How did you manage to stay like that?
I had to go to work knowing that he was watching me, thinking of his, sexual desires about me, and I felt physically sick. I was actually shaking presenting the weather. None of my colleagues knew about it at work, but yeah, I was literally, my legs were shaking, my hands were shaking, and I was trying to hold it together on air. I've had my fair share of sort of people stepping over the line with messages on social media, as I'm sure you have, and I've taken it as a part of my job, which maybe we shouldn't have to put up with that kind of thing, but this was way over the line, just totally over the line.
And did you ever, during that time, during that very intense period when you were getting all of these messages, did you ever find yourself modifying your own behaviour because of him? I'm
a keen runner, so I'd go out, pound the streets on my own, but I found myself looking over my shoulder, really scared to see if he'd be lurking in the bush. It got to the point where I'd go to bed at night and I wouldn't sleep at all, and the dog would bark downstairs and I'd be instantly opening the curtains thinking there was something out there or he was out there.
Do you feel like once he does come out of prison, that will make you behave in a different way, think again about places you might go or things that you might do?
Yeah, I think when he comes out of prison, I'm definitely not going to go in the county he lives in. I'm going to avoid that like the plague. I will probably stay in my area at home, go to work, and go back into a sort of like withdrawn self, because I did withdraw myself even from my family and my friends. Yeah, it's been really hard. And I just want to get on with my life, and I don't want him in it.
I know now you're feeling so vulnerable and frightened, but can you see that day when this is behind you, when you can put all of this nasty stuff behind you?
I think I can focus on the future. I just think I have to take it a day at a time and hope that those messages aren't going to come back on social media. I think the longer period of time that it will get better, I think. I'm hoping it will.
Looking ahead, can you see a time where you can put this experience behind you, and how do you think you will do that? What's the process to get to that point for you?
I think it's just time for me to get to that point. I think he needs to stop messaging me. I think I need to... Well, I'm angry. I really am angry now. Before I was emotional. Obviously I am still emotional, but I'm thinking in my head, you know, this is not fair. I don't need this, and he's not going to affect the rest of my life. I'm not going to go into work feeling angry. I actually thought about quitting my job because of this. Do I really need this stress on me every day? Do I need to feel sick going into work presenting the weather? No, I don't. And hopefully within time things will get better.
There's an element of acceptance, isn't there? There's a certain level of harassment that goes on online, a lot of the time for women, that maybe we just accept and maybe we shouldn't.
It's not just women that are stalked or harassed, it's men as well. I had a guy message me on social media saying, look, I've been through the same thing as you. I totally get where you're coming from, and, you know, chin up, keep going. So there are people, lots of people out there. This goes on more than you think.
Do you think social media companies do enough to protect us?
I don't think they do. Social media companies maybe have a lot to answer for. There is a lot out there that, you know, you see cases of sexual violence, etc., on social media, and it shouldn't happen. There needs to be some laws put in place to prevent this from happening further to innocent people.
And I know we would like to say thank you very much to Alexis for speaking out, for talking to us about this really difficult subject to talk about. But I know that what she wants to do is help other people who might have been in a similar situation and maybe make some changes.
Indeed. Best wishes to her. It's 18 minutes past 8. Matt has the weather for us this